Simple, tax-effective, charitable giving. On this episode of Millstone River Live, charitable giving that's simple, effective, and tax smart. We've got some ideas about how you and your family can create legacy. Adam, tell us a little bit more about what we're talking about today.
I'd love to. Giving is something I think for many of us is an important aspect of our life, whether it's a the college that we went to school with, it's a religious organization, or it's an organization doing really good work that we're passionate about. There's a lot of different ways in which you can participate and help out these organizations, whether it's through service and donating your time. But often, one of the ways that we do it is we take out our checkbook. We will help fund the organization's initiatives. And traditionally, I think the way many of us used to do it or still do it is when there is a request, we will simply provide immediate cash or funding to that organization at the time that they're asking for it. Many organizations consistently are asking for help throughout the year, so it's something that we do pretty often. But it's often at the request of the organization that makes us stop, think, and decide, how do I want to help them? What we'd like to talk today a little bit about is something called a donor-advised fund. And it's just a simple, effective way in which you can donate funds that is ultimately going to be earmarked towards not-for-profits that have a charitable tax status. The difference is have some time in which you decide when to provide the benefit to the charitable organizations through grants. So essentially, you could do it once a year or once every several years. You make a donation to the donor-advised fund that you control. It can be in the form of cash, but also appreciated securities or other assets that you have, which is a way of leveraging and increasing the support and legacy that you're going to give. And it goes into a fund, which you then decide how you want that fund to be invested. The funds continue to accumulate with however the performance is. And then at any point in time throughout the year, you can make sort of a grant. That could be to just one organization, or it could be to many. It allows you in a simple way to have tax-effective giving. There was a recent change in the tax law which sometimes made it more difficult for some families to itemize deductions. So one of the things that this donor-advised fund allows you to do is it allows you to sometimes make one contribution for, let's say you do tithing for a religious organization, make one donation, and then over the next 3 years, consistently bequeath those funds to them, but now have the ability to also include it on your tax return as a deduction. Matt, what did I miss in terms of just describing the donor-advised fund in general?
I think you covered it, but maybe a couple questions. One would be, you mentioned about checkbook giving. Why might this be better than just taking out your checkbook at the time you want to make a gift?
Sure. So there's a couple of ways to respond to that. One is, for most of us, our checkbooks at the moment are not earning much. So if it's being stayed there and is earmarked for an eventual gift, we're not really earning a return on the balance that's there. When you're in a donor-advised fund, you have the ability to invest it so that you have the potential to earn a little bit of return. So when you go to give these funds, it provides a larger impact. But I would say mainly, more importantly, it could be for someone that maybe has a stock that they purchased 30 years ago that has appreciated significantly. If they were to go to sell that security in order to then take the funds in order to donate to charity, they would owe capital gains tax. With a donor advised fund, instead of having to sell those shares, they could just gift it directly to the donor advised fund, which now means that the entire value of the security is available to then be used for the causes that are most important to you. And it's not something where you would have to pay realized capital gains tax first in order to then make that gift.
So let me kind of oversimplify just to make sure we're all on the same page here. So had I bought a stock some years back for $10 a share and it's now worth $15 a share, I have a couple of options. Traditionally, I might sell that stock at $15 and then I would pay my capital gains tax, which, might be, $1 of that. And so that would leave me proceeds of $14 that I could then use towards my gift. In the donor advised fund, if I'm donating that security at $15, then first I give all $15, not $14. And secondly, I didn't have to pay any tax on that. So the ultimate recipients of these gifts receive a greater value than paying part of it, at least in taxes.
That's exactly it. For many, the process of gifting that appreciated security isn't something they do very often. They may not know exactly how. That's why having a donor advised fund is such a useful tool, because it's a way in which you can go through the process of, again, planning so that you can make your eventual gifts more impactful.
Now, you talk about this donor advised fund. Do I need to be a charitable organization myself to do this? I mean, what's the process? How do I get going?
No, any individual can, organize or initially set up the fund. And actually, something that I know both you and I are passionate about, something that we've utilized in our own lives. So maybe, Matt, do you want to share a little bit about your own family's donor advised fund and how you got involved?
Yeah, of course. So, we set up this donor advised fund just because I liked the control and I liked the flexibility of it. I don't have to forfeit control to anybody else, and I can make decisions about what causes we want to support, when we want to provide those gifts, the dollar amounts we want to give, and how to invest the money that's in that account in the meanwhile to try to grow those dollars so that ultimately my gifts are larger than they would have otherwise been. For me, I've always been excited to give money to causes that I think are important, and so we get to choose those causes. Now, you mentioned before that the cause has to be non-for-profit charitable organization with that status at the IRS, but there are tens of thousands of those. And so it's not hard to find a cause that meets up with the things you're trying to accomplish. Now, for some people, those are easy to pick. It might be their alma mater. It might be their church. For other people, it requires that something happened in their lives. They had a positive experience from a hospital and they want to support that hospital. Or maybe it's their kid's private school or whatever it might be. As long as they have that status, you can do it. So for myself, I looked at it as a way to enhance the dollars we were giving away, but then also involve the whole family in discussion. So we, a couple times a year, actually have a family talk about what are the causes we want to give money to. So I continually fund the account with money as I can. And then I'll talk with my high school age daughter, for example, about what's on her mind. And she'll come up with something that she thinks is important. And I give her a budget and I say, you get to pick the cause. And maybe she doesn't know the name of the specific charity, but she knows what she wants to support. So a couple of years ago, we were watching on the news about the devastation of forest fires in Australia. She was touched by that. She wanted to help. A young girl who sees koala bears and kangaroos that are trapped in forest fires, it touched a nerve. So we sent money to the wildlife fund that was supporting these animals in distress and displaced and helping nurse them back to health and invigorate the wildlife in Australia as a result of those fires. My wife wanted to support a medical charity. We did that. We wanted to support our hospital that we've been well cared for. We did that. Recently, I made a donation to a giraffe charity that operates in Africa. Now, here's something kind of unique. I've always liked giraffes. I don't defend that to anybody. It just is. And I found a news story in a somewhat obscure news source online about an organization on the ground who built from scratch a barge that was designed with the idea of transporting giraffes. Now, these are hard animals to transport. They're 20, 25 feet tall. They weigh 2,000 plus pounds. They get nervous easily, so they become problematic when you try to move them. But there's a population of animals in southern Africa that are on an island which is flooding. They need to be moved off that island or else they will meet their demise. So this organization's primary objective is to conserve the wild population of giraffes in Africa. And so we've supported them. And now, because of our multiple gifts, they have included us in events coming up, and they give us sort of a sneak peek of things that they're doing. It's exciting. So we get to benefit ourselves from that giving, but take greater control, maintain that simplicity that we're looking for, and there's a tax perk. I mean, let's not, for any moment sweep that item under the rug. The tax-effective nature of these is important, and being smart about taxes is important. The less we pay in unnecessary taxes, the more we can give to important causes, and if that's important, then this is a great potential way to do it. Adam, you mentioned you've done this too. What are your thoughts?
It's been a really positive experience, and it maybe covers one additional benefit of a donor advised fund that I neglected to discuss before, which is this also allows to create a sort of a giving legacy as well. These funds can continue and last past the the life of the grantor who originally funded it, and that's sort of how I got connected with it. My mother passed away suddenly. And there's a lot that's going on in trying to establish a memorial service. But there were certain causes that she was passionate about. And, often sometimes you see in lieu of flowers, you can make a charitable contribution to XYZ organization. And it just wasn't something that we felt we had the time for to scramble in order to decide, what that organization would be. So instead, our family created a memorial donor advised fund in her name, in which not only did the family make contributions to it initially, but some of our loved ones that attended the memorial service or who couldn't be there made contributions as well. And what's really great about that is that every year we're able to support causes that were not only important to her, but sometimes charity drives that her, grandnephews and nieces were involved with that were looking for support, that, we were able to help, and then get that nice letter at the end of the year that mentions her name and thanks us for the help in, doing really good work. So that was, sort of my connection with it. And, since it was established, every year we've made consistent donations. And because of, the performance of the account, we'll be able to continue to do so sort of for years in the future. So one of the things that I took away, Matt, when you were kind of talking about your own experience is that having a fund in a way provides some organization. It creates a platform, a couple times a year you get together because you've set this up and it's now time to give. Maybe you could just end this with a little bit about what, how to get established a family giving tradition when it's something that's important to you. What are ways in which you can sort of instill these habits, these initiatives with other, loved ones?
That's a great question. So I can tell you that whenever somebody talks about the youth in our country being misguided or having poor priorities, I would give serious pushback on that. I think when you give young people the opportunity to make good decisions and to support worthy causes, they step up for that and they really rise to that challenge. I've seen it in my own family and I've seen it in others. So I think what this allows you to do is to sort of, instead of being haphazard about giving a donation or a gift or a charitable bequest, when asked, you can actually take control and decide that you're going to do this. So you can earmark some money. It's easy to open the account. I mean, it's no different than any other type of account we open for the most part. It's just that the money that you contribute to fund the account is going to charity, ultimately. Doesn't mean you have to do it right away. You can actually invest it and grow it for a long period of time before you give it away. There's no time requirement that says you have to do this at any particular juncture. But what it allows you to do then is know that you're going to do this, and so now you can come together. And I think that coming together is a big piece of why this works. When you come together, I think it gives a family or a group of people, it could be friends, it could be any collection, an opportunity to discuss priorities. And, we give to charities for different reasons. And some would say it kind of doesn't matter what the reason is. The giving is the important part. I don't disagree with that. We've seen, because as we record this today, we're a little over a year into the coronavirus pandemic. And, we've seen people respond in all kinds of different ways, many very good. And they've used this as an opportunity to sort of launch more in the way of giving. And that comes with volunteering time as well as donating money. So what I think this allows is that you can create even a multi-generational tradition. And what better tradition could you establish within your own family or circle of friends than by supporting worthy organizations that are doing important work that you might have passion for? So we can help with that. Some people might feel a little bit put out. They don't know where to begin. We can help you get started. And I think that by helping sort of lay out the next few steps, putting a little bit of organization around it and providing some guidance, but not taking away the things that are most important, like your ability to control the dollar amounts, your ability to decide on the causes you want to support, or the decision about timing and what types of investments you want to utilize. You don't give up any of those things. And so, our role, I think, at our firm is that we can really help people facilitate how to do this and how to do it well. And if anybody is interested in that, we would be very encouraging of them seeking some guidance if they want it, or at least just getting it started, because it is an important thing you can do. And what better legacy to teach the next generation than giving?
Well said.
All right, well, on that note, I think we should call that an episode of Millstone River Live, and we hoped you've enjoyed this episode of our podcast. Feel free, of course, to share the episode with someone you think might benefit. Millstone River Wealth Management is an independent wealth management firm based in New Jersey. We form a supportive partnership with our clients and help with financial education and planning. More information about the firm can be found online at millstone-river.com. No financial products or charitable organizations are endorsed. We hope you found that this episode was enjoyable, informative, and most importantly, got you thinking. Thanks for joining us.